against my better judgment, I watched Monday Night Raw last night. Now, Raw is interesting to me, and I get my most enjoyment from anything that is nostalgic. Now, CM Punk would probably take it as an insult if I put him into that category. Chael, I'm too young for that. You can't do that to me. There's a truth to that, but he goes back far enough, and I was a young enough man when I started watching Punk that I do get a nostalgia when he comes out, and I think it's largely why that pop was so loud. I don't think it was just because Cult of Personality hit the speaker. And I don't think it was just because it was Chicago. I think a lot of people are like me, where Punk and what he represents, and I do admit he's a youthful enough guy. It's not like Orndorff or Steamboat coming out there, but I'm not trying to compare it to that. I'm just talking about these great memories, and I love that kind of stuff. So when The Rock comes out, that's special for me. That's cool. I prefer it. So, The Rock is going to take a seat on the board. He already has done that. He's going to be on the board of directors for TKO. And he has then announced that he's going to headline WrestleMania. And then, for anybody that pays even this much attention, which does represent a small part of the market, he's going to headline WrestleMania against his cousin, and possibly his nephew. But he and Roman are related. It's well documented, whether it's cousin or nephew. I got him confused right in this moment. I knew what it was 10 seconds ago, and I'm having one of those. So, what do you make of that? You got somebody on the board who can't go over. One thing that doesn't work in wrestling is if you know the ending. You can't, because it's a story. You can't know it. In fact, one of the biggest rematches that we could ever even fantasize about was Hogan versus Warrior, and we never thought that we would get it. And then all of a sudden we did. But Warrior, rest his soul, he blew the spot. He did an interview where he told the audience that it was a rematch that they had wrestled before and that he beat him. He's face-to-face with Hulk Hogan. He told the audience, I beat you. And at that time, Hulk Hogan had only been beaten clean 3 times. That was the 3rd time. He'd only been pinned clean without interference. And don't forget, I'm not talking about Terry Bollea. I'm talking about Hulk Hogan. That was his 3rd time being pinned clean. So when Warrior comes out and tells, he just ruined the spot. And the rematch was ruined. It was terrible, and people didn't look forward to it. I didn't watch it. It was the most anticipated match you could ever have, and this is in the 90s. I mean, this is when I watched wrestling. I mean, I'm on every channel, and we're wearing the Stone. We got the 316 shirts on. This was a massive time in wrestling. I did not watch that rematch. I vaguely remember it. Was there a fire spot in that? Was that the match where there was they threw fire, but it backfired, like burned the person? Was that match? I literally don't know because I didn't watch it. But I didn't watch it because Warrior ruined it, rest his soul. But he ruined it in that interview where he told everybody, what happened? There's no reason to watch it now. You just told me what happened. Never should have mentioned it. Vince, when he took over TV, he had all sorts of wrestling, man. They've been wrestling for a meaningful period of time. Don't forget, Vince bought the company from his old man. But when they got on TV, Vince brought all the boys in and he said nothing has ever happened before. I don't care what town we were in last night and what the outcome of the match was. It didn't happen. No matches happened. But it was a big deal. Because you'd have guys that had feuds or they were going back and forth, or I'm friends with you, or I'm not friends with you, or you and I get along, or you and I don't get along. He said, drop it all right now. Somebody was at the show, they're getting just, it's brand new the second the cameras go on. It's a fresh and new story. It's very important. It's a very intelligent thing that Vince did, but it was done for very good reasons. I only share that with you because there were so many new fans. The 90s was so hot. Warrior had been gone. So many people didn't even know that he had left in the first place. And he came out and he had to let them know it was an ego thing. He had to let them know that he once was here and he was so big that he beat you. He's standing right across from Hulk Hogan. Ruined the millions of dollars that Ted Turner shelled out for this. It was ruined. It was ruined in this interview. Now, I tell you that because for a guy on the board, The Rock, possibly the biggest star the sport has ever seen. It's down to 3 and none of us know the numbers. And it's whoever brought in the most money. Is that The Rock? Is that Stone Cold? Or is that Hogan? And Hogan had the longer run and Rock ran a little bit hotter, but Stone Cold had the merchandise era. I have never in my life been able to buy professional wrestling clothing in a retail store at the mall, except for in that era, and it was Austin 316 shirts. It's a very different time. So that revenue and that it ran. So we don't know. We don't know. Is it Hogan? Is it Rock? Is it one of those three? It's the biggest ever. So when that guy takes a seat on the board, you could see why, if he's going to come back, he will go into the biggest spot. You would see why it would be Mania. You would see why that would be special. But there would be no question who's going to win if it's a championship match. That's a story that must continue to be told. And if one guy is coming back for one match in a publicly traded company, which means his contract, what he got paid, how many it's good for, could be found out by the... There's no way that he could win. If he can't win, how do you tell a story around it? How do you bring people in? We just want to see a nephew beat up his uncle? That feels weird from Jump Street. It was a massive miss 1 year ago at WrestleMania when old man Mysterio beat his son. Could you imagine if you were a wrestler and your son makes it to WrestleMania while you're still wrestling? Oh my God, you're going to share the ring with him. It wouldn't matter what the angle was, the family, all the stuff that they tied in, the sister and the mom, all this stuff they might go, I'd rather it wasn't that. Okay, fair enough. That would be a father's dream. You put your son over. There is zero chance if I had a professional wrestling match at WrestleMania, the biggest thing of the year, against my son, zero, that he doesn't pin me 1, 2, 3. Zero. If we're in the back and Vince and company tell me, Chael, go pin him, I say, okay. I go out there and he pins me. There is no chance that I take that moment from him. None. Rey Mysterio took it from his son. What a scumbag. What a scumbag. I'll never look at Rey the same. And Rey couldn't say anything to me. Well, this is what Vince and Triple H said. I give a F-U-C. You walked out there on live TV. Flip it. Tell the referee when I go down, keep counting, because I'm staying down. You put your son over. So I'm just sharing with you, it doesn't feel right. The Rock versus Roman, they have a problem. They have a massive problem. And they had an opportunity for a massive angle, which is Roman versus Cody. And The Rock's going to do the right thing from his powerful seat on the board, and he's going to use nepotism. If you have the ability to use nepotism and you don't, you're a scumbag. People apologize for nepotism. They say they hide nepotism. If you have the opportunity to do something for family and you don't do it, so you've got this chance for a great angle, but now you're going to have an old leather boot take on a new shiny shoe. And that's what they look like when they come face to face. Like, they both respected their careers enough to stick a needle full of D-ball in their ass. I appreciate they look good, but you got an old wrinkly shoe and you got a new shiny boot. And there was no way around it. And then if you got the old wrinkly shoe, there's one thing you can't do. There's one thing that you cannot do. You do this D-ball in private, right? Of course you did, because you don't want people to know. You want to look a certain way and you don't want them to know. You do it in private. You can't walk out there with polish on. When you walk out there after you went through makeup and the polish shows that somebody tried to fill in the cracks, it's over, right? There was these huge mistakes made. Huge mistakes made. This shouldn't have been made. You should not apologize for being family, helping family, when you're in a family business. You don't need to apologize. The son-in-law is an executive. The daughter runs the show. The son coming back from China when the little boy story runs, it comes right back into an executive position. You don't need to apologize. This is what we're doing over here. And there was such an opportunity. And the crowd's not for it. Cody won. Cody took on the machine and Cody won. So now you've got an uncle with a seat at the table. You have a nephew who does great. I really think Roman does a great job. And quite frankly, part of that, they're forcing him over. That was part of the storyline. Roman was the guy. Roman is beautiful. He was 26 years old at the time that they were pushing him over. Right? So you have this beautiful opportunity versus Cody Rhodes, who alone, one family member got pushed out. His mom or sister, whatever Terry was, that turned out to be a bit of a hooer. And then you got his father's dead. You got poor Cody all by himself, took on the Giant, went to AEW, got the tats, started the reality show, came back. He beat everybody, and he did it by himself. A family affair got beat out by a kid who did it alone. It's the greatest story ever. And they passed on it for an old leather boot versus a new shiny shoe.